Outdoors night. Author, age 30, with pencil in hand, sitting on curbstone by railroad lamplight, wearing blue jeans, work jacket, and baseball cap, watching 11-year-old Jacky, Duluoz, and Lousy, and GJ, who were sitting in tenement doorway on high dozen steps.
The other night I had a dream that I was sitting on the sidewalk of Moody Street, Port Tucketville, Lowell, Massachusetts, with a pencil and paper in hand, saying to myself, describe the wrinkly tar of this sidewalk, also the iron pickets of Lowell Textile Institute, or the doorway where Lousy and you and GJ's always sitting. And don't stop to think of words when you do stop. Just stop to think of the picture better and let your mind off your work.
Same. We look down from giant trees, iron picket fence with bushes, down again to same doorway, passing author on curb.
There I am watching. A dream myself at age 11, sitting in the middle. Me, Jacky Duluoz, local sandlot football sensation and big punk. I'm thinking, take note when you pass the doorway. Look very close at Lousy Lazone, Jacky Duluoz, and good old GJ.
And the boys in silent film gestures get up and walk away in the waving high dark, meanwhile people going by busily in 1930s clothes. Jacky Duluoz shambles behind with hands in pocket. Same night, Moody Street Bridge, boys walking on wooden sidewalks stop to look down over rail. We hear the roar of the river. We view the river 100 feet below, scan around the shores, then back to the river below.
By moonlight I see the mighty Merrimack foaming in 1,000 white horses upon the tragic rocks below, the thunderous husher of our sleep at night.
Scan to shores.
Even from my father's house, I could hear it rise from the rocks in a groaning whoosh, ululating with the water. Splosh, splosh, zoo. All night long, the river says zoo, zoo. The stars are fixed in rooftops like ink. Merrimack River, dark names, sported dark valleys. My Lowell had the great trees of antiquity in the rocky north.
Back to river.
Moaning onward, armies and cavalries are charging. Euplantis, Edtronics, King Gray looped and curly like artists work with clay soles. Snow curlicue rooster togers in the forefront. I had a terror of those waves, those rocks.
From a spot below the bridge where you can see up, figures of the boys walking back and goofing at wrestling matches, then in beneath, closer, we barely see, in the rocky bushes, a masked by night shadow flitting out of the river rapids roar. Jacky pauses surprised on the bridge as if he'd heard. Boys call.
Come on, Jacky. Let's go, you kid Zago. Time to hit the old sack. Yodel-lay-hee.
Boys stopping in front of Detouche Candy Store on Moody Street, an old and brown and drear store, as Dicky Hampshire comes out carrying 3 magazines and eating candy.
Yep, got me 2 new shadows, and don't ask me for a swap. I read yours. Heh, heh, heh.
They're crossing the purple darkness of the park path. In moonlight, all 4 boys walking closer together.
I see the ghost of Zaploof in this park. I don't care how long ago he died.
You see Jacky walking, looking around warily.
GJ always said that, got me scared, so I began to see the ghost of Palouf mixed with other shrouds when I walked home alone from the Shusha's candy store with my shadow in my arm. I wanted to face my duty. I had learned to stop crying in my earlier childhood across town, and I was determined not to start crying in Port Tucketville.
On corner of Sarah and Phoebe Avenues, dirt road, old brown street lamp, the bigger boys lounging against the wood picket fence. Our young kids come up straggling to split for home in various doorways.
Well, partners, so you're going to bed and sleep in the arms of the old dream man. But do you remember me, Tijan? Me, Kid GJ? Me, Kid Cave-In? That tonight, the moon man will howl. And when he hears that, partners, close your windows.
The big boys stare quietly, smoking, chewing. Kids disperse, but Jean follows Jacky.
I heard you were looking for some magazines, Tijan. Come on down the cellar.
They're coming down the brown gloom of Jean's drear cellar and turning on a dim bulb. Pulp magazines are piled in cobweb bins. Jean holding up magazines.
Ain't nothing I like better, partner, than to wrap my entrails round a good mess of Heap and Vitlin Star Western or Pete Coyote Westerns or The Shadow when dark he come permagulating his long silver laugh in the vault of the bank shade, yes.
Handing Jacky an armful of magazines.
Edify ye my me by.
Jean was always talking like that, remembering lines from an old W.C. Fields movie or some old August C. stories. There I am staring at him with amazement.
Jacky at his kitchen door, dark backyard, arms loaded with magazines, glancing towards his shack in the yard, seen dimly in moon, hears a noise, sees a kind of swift, shady shroud move, hears low, and hurries into house, pell-mell. Indoors, night, Duluoz kitchen, Ma, Pa, and Nin, sister, at various postures around table, reading, rocking, sewing.
Well, Lil Thumb, what you so pale about?
Nothin'.
Ma standing over Nin's shoulder.
Well, you go to bed now. Tomorrow's Friday, then you don't have no school for the whole weekend. Huh? You want a fried egg sandwich now, Leo?
Plenty onions.
Jacky and Nin washing their teeth side by side at kitchen sink, Nin wearing a rubber rain cape.
Boy, am I gonna have fun in my beach cape this summer.
She displays red inside, black outside cape and puts on her cap, too. Jacky's bedroom, we see in deep blue dark, Jacky in his bed with his cat looking towards moonlit window as goes.
Yes, I always sense Dr. Sachs. Dr. Sachs I first saw in his earlier lineaments in the early Catholic childhood. Deaths, funerals, the shroud of that, the dark figure in the corner when you look at the dead man coffin.
Shot of man in coffin.
In the dolorous parlor of the open house with a horrible purple wreath on the door, figures of coffin bearers emerging from a house on a rainy night.
Shot of coffin bearers in rain.
Bearing a box with dead old Mr. Yip inside.
Jacky and GJ in same rainy street, clutching each other. An old-time front parlor, statue of Saint Therese on mantelpiece.
The statue of Saint Therese turning her head in an antique gloom in my parlor when I went downstairs at midnight.
Statue of Jesus, big 24 inches.
On the phosphorescent crucifix my ma brought that glowed the Jesus in the dark.
Old-time night bedroom, small boy in bed.
Earlier, too, horrors of the Jesus Christ of Passion plays in his shrouds and vestments at the foot of my bed.
View of a kind of Jesus dimly at foot of said bed.
Pushing it on dark Saturday night.
Same spot, shift to a kind of Virgin Mary.
Either he or the Virgin Mary stoop with phosphorescent profile pushing my bed.
Same view as door suddenly slams shut.
That same night in Elfin, more cheery ghosts of some Santa Claus kind rushed up and slammed my door. There was no wind. My sister was taking a bath in the rosy bathroom, and my mother scrubbing her neck.
Scene is rosy bathroom, Ma scrubbing little Nin's back, and Wayne King music on radio.
Wayne King and the old mahogany radio, Saturday night funnies in the kitchen. Everything normal. So I called out, "Who slammed my door?"
Nobody closed your door, you nut.
Scene of old-time parlor at night, red furniture which at first is standing still, then starts to rattle.
And I knew I was haunted, but said nothing. Not long after that, I dreamed the horrible dream of the rattling red parlor, newly painted a strange 1929 varnish red, and I saw it in the dream all dancing and rattling like skeletons.
Jacky, mouth open in soundless scream by parlor Victrola.
And I dreamed I woke up screaming by the Victrola, the underground rumbling horror of the low night, a black coat.
View of a black coat on a hook on a white door in the dark.
A black coat on a hook on a white door. Oh, my heart used to sink at sight of huge head shroud rearing on its rein in the goop of my door.
Coat on door seems to change shape, move dimly.
Nothing worse than a hanging coat in the dark, extended arms, dripping folds of cloth, leer of dark face. To be tall, statuesque, motionless, slouch-headed or hatted, silent, memory and dream are intermixed in this mad universe.
Back in real-life sequence, Jacky gets up in BVDs and hurries to look at racing moon out his window, raises shade.
The moon man.
Hurrying at closet door, opens it, mop handle falls out majestically, slowly, as he stares at it. Reaches for hockey cap and dives off screen. We see it's just a mop on floor. In bed, Jacky buries head in cap and under blankets, leaving hole open for Cat to join him, or yanks Cat in anyway and folds under, shivering. Morning kitchen, rain at the windows, Ma serving Jacky.
You got up late. You better hurry, it's raining. Here, good hot toast with your oatmeal.
I'm sick. I don't want to go to school.
Well, then don't go to school, my little wolf. Stay home with Mama. Nin went to school right in the rain, but she wants to meet her boyfriend. Ooh la la. But you stay right here with your Mama.
Kiss on cheek.
My little golden angel.
Camera around kitchen showing comfort. Green electric clock turning on wall. As rain drums, look down to round table in middle of kitchen, to great 1920s cast iron stove with pots cooking, Cat licking forepaw over finished meal, Ma whipping batter with fork. Jacky at window in parlor looking through lace curtains and beaded windows, in the gloom by the vast blackness of the upright piano and a brown painting on wall. Close-up of said painting showing cherubs hovering around a brown virgin.
I'm not really sick. What would Mary say of that? Yeah, she is with the cherubs all gloomy, in their little sad disports among the clouds and vague butterflies of themselves, and somehow quite inhuman and cherub-like. I have a cherub tells me, says Hamlet, to the Rosencrantz and Guilderster track team hot-hoofing back to Angleterre.
Suddenly Jacky is simply brooding with both legs over the arm of the big easy chair, brooding like an old and bitter man, but in that childish position. And now, in another position, he makes two fingers run like little man, and the other hand formed like bird beak, nipping to bite, chasing little man along arm of chair.
I always had the great bird of eternity chasing the little man. Don't ask me why.
View of Jacky's face from outside of window, looking out through wet drops, his blue eyes, brown shirt, black sweater, head tilted sadly to side. Now, same view, he's furiously munching an apple. Outdoors, view of huge tree mushrooming into the sky, rearing in the storm. You hear a crack of tree limbs. Ground level shot of fallen branch looking wet and demented among puddles. Jacky's eyes gayer in window. He's drawing crude X's and circles and swastikas in the steamy window. And suddenly you see Ma behind him from dim interior. She's talking under cover of outdoor rain noise.
Ma saying, "There, I told you they were good, the apples. There, look, the water's 2 feet deep in the street. A big storm. I told you not to go to school today, nah. See how it rains. Am I so dumb?"
Same view, but separate shot of their faces peering fondly out the window in silence.
Ah, mother and son in America.
Back in kitchen, Ma wearing cotton dress, wiping hands on apron, over stove, comes doling out vari-colored fresh cupcakes to seated Jacky.
All them movies with the old grandma in the West slapping her little frontiers boys and smacking 'em. "Stay away from them cookies, huh? La old Mama Angelique don't do that to you, eh?"
No, Ma. Boy, if you were like that, I'd always be hungry.
There, try a nice white one of vanilla. It's good for you.
Oh, boy, white frosting.
Ma turning away, sort of bow-legged in the kitchen, saying,
"Good. Now I've got to put away my wash. I got it in just before it rained."
Jacky rocking furiously with new strawberry cupcake by stove as, on the radio, you hear fish prices from Boston.
Ferlinghetti, cod, mackerel.
Me, I'm going to finish my races in my room.
Okay.
Yes, no more terrors in the night, in the world's daylight.
Scene is Jacky's bedroom. Now, in gray daylight, you see the bed, the chair, the green desk, the old stand-up Victrola with the crank hanging, stacks of 78 RPM records, and you hear Jack's footsteps unmistakably pounding up the stairs on the run, plip, plop, ploop, pleep, plip, and he's rushing in the room and closing the door behind him and picks up the mop on the floor and with foot pressed on it mops a strip of linoleum space from window to door. Decor is rosebush wallpaper, a racehorse photo, a picture of the bleeding heart of Jesus on the cross, a miniature pool table. Now Jacky is getting down briskly on his knees to sweep away with his fingertips, feeling for spots of sand or glass, looking at the fingertips with a careful blow, then jumps up, wiping fingers on pants, turns slowly and raises fist to mouth and goes. The racetrack call to the post by the bugler, in a clear, well-modulated voice, imitation of a trumpet. Then he looks around goopily in self-administered amazement as he listens to the last sad note and the rain click in the windows of the silent house. Jacky's bed. On it are lined 8 marbles, all colors, and you see his hand dropping a newspaper that's been printed by hand in pencil, also entries sheet, and Jacky's saying,
"And now the 5th race, handicap. 4-year-olds and up. The horses are heading for the post."
Standing over bed, his hands upraised, he looks around like a racing fan and says,
"Say, sure is gonna rain soon. They're headed for the post. Well, son, better bet 5 on Flying Ebony. That old gal will make it. She didn't do too bad against Clan's feet last week. Okay, Pa. But, Pa, I see Don Pablo winning this race. Don Pablo? Nah."
Jacky's rushing to the Victrola, turning on Dardanella with the push hook. old Paul Whiteman version. Briskly, Jacky's kneeled at the race start barrier, which is an inclined game board on books, clamps down his ruler with one hand, and rolls out the marbles in post position. And he has his mouth open, breathing in and out raspily to imitate crowd murmurs, little whistles. The marbles click. You see a close-up of the marbles lining up against his thumb and hear Jacky say,
"Whoops! Look out! Nope! No! Don Pablo broke from the starter's helper."
Marbles spills out.
Back he goes. Jockey Jack Lewis exasperated on his back. Set him straight up now.
Announcer.
The horses are at the post.
Hand up to his concerned expression.
Oh, that old fool, we know what that. They're off. What? They're off.
Jacky's face lunging off-screen, leaving view of ceiling with a crack in it. View of marbles rolling down incline and off. Jacky crawling along all stridey and careful, following his marbles with ruler in hand, yelling,
"You made me miss my start with all that talk, and it's clan sleep all by 2 inches."
Close-up of actual racing marbles, one big one gaining on small silver ball-bearing one from the outside.
And Don Pablo on the outside, flying ebony up fast. No time. Woo!
The marbles crashing into wall. Jacky, with head and hands in amazement, imitating the great catastrophe of the fans.
Don Pablo rolled over and crashed in. Gee, Don Pablo. Ooh, he went and done it.
Jacky at the Victrola, putting in a new record swiftly. It's The Parade of the Wooden Soldiers by John Philip Sousa. Everybody's leaving the racetrack. He marches up and down where he stands, circling. He's marching, but also shaking his head quizzically, like a disgruntled bettor tearing up his tickets.
That bum! But Pa, I told you about Don Pablo, even though he was 28-1.
Jacky at his little green desk, the papers all spread, the pencil he bends to write the results in clean, tiny handprinting on special results sheets.
Yes, it wasn't hard to write down results and write editorials against the shade, but when the sun went down...
Sun going down, amid clearing skies is seen from Moody Street Bridge, now Textile Avenue Bridge, towards Tingsboro. View of Jacky taking nap on his bed in Rosie's sundown room as we hear from outdoors.
Jacky!
From house.
Your chums are calling you. They're coming upstairs.
GJ, Lousy, and Dicky come in, and Dicky is almost crying as he hands Jacky a note.
Look at that! The black thief has struck again. What'll he steal from me next? I lost Hoop, my pole vault, my trunks, and now my brother's wagon. That black thief must be a maniac. Look at that crazy shiny orange paper he writes on.
As Lousy is setting up balls on miniature pool table for game.
I wonder who that black thief is.
I think he lives on Gershon Avenue. That's what I think.
Jacky rocking back and forth on his heels.
It might be. Then again, I don't know.
I'm getting out of this town, and I'm green jungles of South America bound. I'm going to Guatemala.
Watermelon?
No, Guatemala. I'll trap that black thief before I leave.
How?
Catch the moon man, too. Right, GJ? Lousy? Tonight now, there's no school for 2 days. We'll dig a big hole in the sandbank and cover it with twigs and then newspaper and sand and catch him down there like the tiger in Tarzan.
View of GJ and Lousy snickering together over the pool game.
Why didn't you go to school today, Zago?
Jacky sitting on edge of bed, demurely.
Sick?
Who won the big race?
Don Pablo.
Boys going out of the kitchen as Ma is setting table for supper. Papa Leo simultaneously coming in with straw hat and racing form, inside pocket and cigar in mouth. Jacky and Nin already seated for supper, Jacky with knife and fork uplifted.
Hiya there, Lousy. How's the old man? Going home to eat your pork chops and beans? What we got there for supper, Angie?
Boys going out.
Come on now, it's Friday. Haddock and boiled potatoes.
Coughing enormously, rattling the kitchen as he walks, Pa goes into other room, unfurling newspaper and puffing on cigar.
I'm ready, Ossifer. I was ready anytime, Ossifer. See, Ossifer?
Pa leaning back at table and picking his teeth, reading paper, the mother and daughter gathering up dishes, Jacky leaving supper table, a glint in his eye, to the cellar door at end of kitchen, the father unnoticing. The cellar door closing behind Jacky, you hear him going. In the dark, creaky steps, then there is a dim light with blue bandana clicked on below to where he's creeped. Light bluish is on dimly over his hands. You vaguely see he's putting on black slouched hat and his sister's rain cape with the black on the outside.
The black thief in his sanctuary.
Now he's writing, "The black thief has struck again," on glossy orange paper in big black letters. Camera over to where you can see a wagon, a hoop, a pole, a pair of swim trunks in a dim corner of the cellar, and back to his evil expression as he pens note. Make it a good slouched hat. Shot of outside cellar bulkhead door opening up in violet darkness of moonlit yard. Jacky merged in darkness, coming out caped, hatted, goes. Follow him over fence into other backyard, inside bushes, over other fences, gliding low with cape swept over mouth. Seen his lamp post in front of Dicky's house, dirt road and sandbank rising from across road. The boys, Dicky, GJ, and Lousy playing basketball with small ball up to hoop on lamp post. Other boys too, Scotty, Freddie, yelling game. Jacky, the black thief, crouched in bushes, is throwing pebbles, ducking under dark after each throw. Boys in road pausing to say,
"What's that?"
as pebbles drop, and then turning to listen to
That's no moon, man.
Jacky flitting away from bushes with Dicky's wagon. Boys pausing in pursuit before orange note on porch. Dicky's mother standing in doorway, arms akimbo, porch light on.
The black thief has struck again.
Dicky.
Yes, Ma?
Don't worry. I know who the black thief is.
She says it very slowly and goes back into the house funereally. Jacky, back in his backyard, is climbing roof of his shack with wagon and lowering it through hole in the roof by the rope, then drops in after it. Jacky in shack lighting candle in his shroudy outfit going but pauses to listen to noise of boys coming, hurries and puts tarpaulin over wagon in the corner, shoves cape and hat under with it, and stands waiting expectantly. Boys coming into yard of Jacky.
There's a light. The Wizard of Oz Club is open.
Jacky sitting swiftly, innocently at ragged table to sing into rubber hose that connects around to a megaphone in his ear.
Down the old ox road.
Boys rush in.
Come on, Jacky. Let's get shovels and dig in and make that hole now. Let's get that black thief and the moon man tonight.
Faces around candlelight, evil looking.
I know just the spot where to dig.
Come on, gang.
They rush out. On the sandbank, digging huge 6-foot hole, bringing twigs and newspapers, piling on sand over cover. View of Jean Plouffe, watching from upper sandbank bushes, then climbing tree and howling. Boys throwing shovels down and running.
There he is. Come on, you guys.
Get some rocks.
Throwing rocks at trees in the moonlit sandbank.
Wee! Wow! There he goes!
Flying like a bat in every direction in the dark, finally down across the road, Jean Plouffe.
Hey, ha ha ha! It's Jean Palouf. It's Jean Palouf.
Yahoo! The moon man is trapped.
Jacky, running alone in pursuit, suddenly stops and looks up, sees on the other and upper bank, by shrubs, a tall, shadowy figure in a cape. We pan over his shoulder. Very tall, stately figure, which turns and leaps out of sight.
That was no Jean Plouffe. That was Dr. Sachs. I didn't know his name then. He didn't frighten me either. I sensed he was my friend, my old friend, my ghost, personal angel, private shadow, secret lover.
Outdoors, morning sun, boys in park playing with baseballs and bats and gloves, light pepper and fungo. Jacky is squatted with catcher's mitt and a baseball hat backwards, catching formal wind-up pitches of Scotty on the mound.
Boy, it was fun to get back to sunny daylight. I had learned to be scared of the dark, but Scotty, my pitcher, so heroic and calm, like a great Grover C. Alexander of the Sandlots, blowing one of his greatest games, proved to me all my life wasn't black.
Dicky on edge of busy ball players.
And tonight, we'll capture the Black Thief.
GJ comes over and squats down by Jacky and puts arm around neck.
You rat, you. You want me to tell you something, you big kid Zago?
What?
GJ close up, whispering.
Last week when it rained all Saturday, I saw you running away from my mailbox. I went down and I found this.
Holding up orange glossy notepaper with writing.
And so, Mr. Robert J. Immemorium, I can only conclude that you are the Black Thief.
You're nuts. Ho, ho.
Lousy joining in.
Beware! The Black Thief will strike again, babe!
They're all straggling down the wooden sidewalk of the Moody Street Bridge in bright sunshine, baseball regalia left at home.
This better be a good movie, or I'm gonna burn down the Crown Theater.
Hey, when are we gonna play hooky again and play whist all day in the tower of the castle?
They all pause at the rail to look towards the castle. A sunny view from Moody Street Bridge across River Basin to the meadow in Centerville, a mile away, where we see a gnomic old 19th century granite castle of sorts.
Ah, that place stinks. Nobody lived there for 1,000 years. Who wants to play cards among rats and cobwebs? There's a crack in the yard from an old earthquake about a mile big.
Close-up of Dicky's face looking pensive.
Maybe that's where the Black Thief lives. Who knows what goes on there at night?
GJ and Lousy wrestling Jacky to wooden sidewalk.
If you don't stop that, Zago, you're gonna drive Dicky nuts.
Facing row of boys all seated in dark movie theater, eating at various candy bars, popcorn bags, and ice cream in cups. We hear the soundtrack of the movie. They're all watching intently.
I always sat next to Scotty because I always wanted some Mr. Goodbar after my ice cream, but he always only gave me a tiny peanut in the corner.
Close-up of Scotty's hand handing Jacky said tiny peanut off the big candy bar and the looks they exchange.
That's why we call him Scotty.
Gray screen view of movie of, say, Porter Hall wresting a deed from a widow's hand. Facing boys in seats again, GJ getting up infuriated, in balcony this is, and yelling.
That little rat! He's always foreclosing the mortgage or something. Get that little runt!
And he throws his ice cream cup from the balcony at the screen. Lousy leaps up and throws his ice cream too. Jacky and Dicky and Scotty stumble over each other to get out of the aisle. View of screen being pelted, jellying and shaking as kids yell all over the theater, then screen goes dark. Loud whistles. Gang running down fire escape, pell-mell and out into the street through alley as aged policeman yells at them from fire escape door. Pan down to his trouser legs, black shoes, and catch a rat running out the open door. Duluoz kitchen, Saturday night, Ma ironing big whitewash, Wayne King on the radio, Jacky on his stomach on floor reading funnies, Sister Nin fishing around drawers and complaining.
Ma, I tell you, I can't find my rain cape. It just couldn't have disappeared like that black thief stuff up and down the street.
Yeah? Let me look.
Jacky, eyes glinting, is creeping to cellar door unnoticed. Hands in the blue light, writing new note, we see cape and slouched hat, and newest homemade wagon leaning in corner.
Only the black thief knows.
Jacky, flitting through dark bushes again, arrives at favorite spot and starts throwing pebbles at boys whom we hear under street lamp playing basketball. Dicky, hands up, whispering,
All right, now quiet. This time we'll get him. Scatter, men.
Suddenly, Jack emerges into streetlight, defrocked, innocent, hands suavely in pockets. Dicky looks at him, almost crying.
How big do you think he is?
Who? What's up?
The black thief. He's here again.
Dicky's mother appears in the streetlight and faces Jacky, her face grim and dreamy.
Jacky, are you the black thief?
His face hypnotized.
Yes, Mrs. Hampshire?
Then bring back Dicky's things and tell him you're sorry.
Dicky, wiping his red, wet eyes with a handkerchief.
I'm sorry, Dicky.
And here comes your mother, young man.
View of Ma, Duluoz, and Nin marching down the street.
All right, you. Get that beach cape out of the bushes and march home. I'm gonna stop you from reading those darn thrilling magazines if it's the last thing I do.
Coming out of bushes with cape and marching home in front of his mother and sister, Jacky, a dismal sight as laughter of the boys follows him up the street.
Yet I was thinking, what foolish power have I discovered and been possessed by? Even in my embarrassment, I knew that Dr. Sachs was blessing me from a roof, where he hid.
Dim view of the shrouded hat moving on a roof in the moonlight. A cloud crosses the moonlight. Boys dispersing with whoops and knee-slapping.
Hey, it's gonna rain!
GJ yells off screen.
Hey, somebody fell in our hole. Come see what's in it.
From inside the hole, see the boys up there looking down.
What is it? A long black shoe?
Jacky don't have shoes like that!
Jean Plouffe don't have shoes like that.
It's only one shoe. What's it doing there? Who fell in here?
Rain starts. Close-up of GJ being very quiet and serious.
Hey, I'm going home.
Hurrying by under streetlight with lunch pail, Jean Plouffe.
There goes good old G. Plouffe to work in the mills in the midnight shift.
I wish I was going with him. I'm afraid to sleep tonight.
We follow Jean Plouffe now in the shiny splattering of rain on the Moody Street Bridge, head bent and grim.
Jean Plouffe, revealed as the Moon Man, resigned, huddled. Still, he has to earn a living and go to work in the mills. One quick look over the rail across the wide dock towards Snake Hill, behind the wet shrouds. Nothing. A wall of darkness. Not even a dull brown lamp.
A view across impenetrable rainy darkness, like shots of rain in old airplane movie skies at night, blowing shrouds. Shot of walking feet.
As Jean lifts his heel from the last wood plank of the bridge, suddenly
a dim brown light in the rainy darkness.
You could see a faint brown light come on, far in the night of the river, just about on Snake Hill.
Now first almost clear close-up of Dr. Sachs in cape with a green face, long hawk nose, in earliest spot beneath bridge.
And beneath the bridge, slouching, dark, emitting a high laugh, my wee ha ha ha, fading, croaking mad maniac caped, green-faced, a disease of the night. Viscous night soil glides Dr. Sachs along by the rocks, the raws along the steep bank, hurrying, flapping, flying, floating, sweeping to the reedy flats of the Merrimack Basin in one movement, removing the...
Dr. Sachs removing something from his hat and blowing at it.
Rubber boat from his slouched hat and blowing it up into a little rowboat. Goes rowing with rubber paddles.
Dr. Sachs rowing across rainy water in tiny boat.
Red-eyed, anxious, serious, in the gloom of rains and bat spans and raw hush mist masts. Real river keeping an eye on the castle.
Shot of little black bat struggling in flight in rainy night.
As over the basin of that Merrimack with eager, petite, birdie wings, backbone, little Count Condu, the vampire, hastens to his baggy, dusty, crumbled old girl in the unspeakable brown of the castle door. Oh, ghosts!
The bat hovers at the great rotted door of the castle, all wet and dark.
Count Condu came from Budapest. He wanted a good Hungarian earth to lie still in during the long, dull afternoons of the Europe void. So he flew to America by rainy night. By day slept in his 6-foot sandbox aboard an NMU ship. Came to Lowell to feast on the citizens of Merrimack.
The bat dissolves from the air and materializes at the door a vampire count in evening cape. The count is slowly knocking with the great brass gadget.
Count Condu wanted his chickens plucked just right. He came to Lowell as part of a great general movement of evil, to the secret castle which was not abandoned or unoccupied at all. That count was tall, thin, hawk-nosed, caped, white-gloved, glint-eyed, sardonic. He was sibilant, sharp-tongued, aristocratic, snappy, mawk-mouthed like a bloodless simp, but warpy with his mush lips swelled, inbent in domafall as if with little hanging Hardennen mustache, which he didn't have.
Great door creaks open. A vampire woman in dusty cobweb gown. She aims for the door with sobbing arms.
Dearest Count, you've come.
La Contessa de Franziono, a descendant of Welsh Boerbs who fell off at Tremé off the coast of Leghorn when it still had its medieval wall guards, but claiming to be a pure Franconi of the old Medici heirs, has now come to the door, gilt in rapid declining old lace with cobwebs joining threads and dust caking when she bends her back, with a pendant pearl and spider sleeping on it, her eyes all hollow, her voice all verbalisms in a reverberatory vat.
You can see them from above, from cobwebs and moving spiders and flapping bats, in the great decomposing hall.
Blook, Splaff his assistant Gunloon, Muraf the Gonduck with his crab head.
And?
The Cardinal of Acre has come to offer his saraband brooch to the skin of the snake, if he can have a piece of it out for his brooch.
Close-up of Count Condu smirking.
Tell you, they'll be ruddy well surprised when the peasantry gets the sauce of that snake.
You think it will live?
Who'll want to kill it to revive it?
Who'll want to kill it to survive?
Parasaxon priest, find them something they have to contend with face to face with the possibility of horror and bloodshed, and they'll be satisfied with wooden crosses and go home.
But old Wizard Faustus wants to live.
In that last form he took in the 13th century, I wouldn't bother.
Who is Dr. Sachs?
They told me in Budapest he's just a crazy old fool. No harm will come from him.
A large spider, big as a hand, crawls up on the Vamp Countess's shoulder to it.
Is he here?
Is, presumably.
Contessa Vamp idling away with long cigarette holder, spider still on shoulder.
Well, and did you have a good journey?
Moderate.
Sitting on divan.
Of course, for now, I have a box of good American earth for you to sleep in. Espiritu dug it up for you at a fee. It would be charged upstairs, and the B equivalent, because he'll see the money, so the only thing he wants is blood. You can leave it with me when you get some, and I'll pay. He's been hassling and hassling.
Sitting alongside.
I have some B right now.
Where did you get it?
A young girl in Boston when I got off the ship at dusk around 7. Snow swirls on Milk Street. But then the rain started. All Boston was slushy. I pushed her in an alley and got her just below the earlobe and drank up a good pint half, of which I saved in my gold jar for nightcap at dawn.
Camping.
Lucky boy. I found myself a sweet 16-year-old boy in his mother's window, counting birds at afternoon supper. Blue dusk, the sun just sank in westerly, and I caught him right by the Adam's apple and ate up half his blood. He was so sweet. Last week it was.
Count rising in jubilance whirl.
Enough, Contessa. You've convinced me I did excruciatingly the right thing coming here. The convention won't last long. The castle will undoubtedly rattle, but...
Yawns.
I want to move on. Unless, of course, the great world snake of evil does pop up here, in which case I'll certainly stay to see the horrible spectacle eyes from a good distance in the air.
Slyly simpering.
It will have to happen at night then, dear Count.
Businesslike.
If you see Martha, tell her I'll come in to see her in the morning.
Make it brunch. She's busy at cards with old Hatchet Crawl in the Blue Belfry. Entertaining Flamboy, the ambassador so large. He just got in from Cravistraw, where he stole a polo pony and had it flown to the Maharaja of Larkspur, who sent congratulations. They found a new dove in the Bengali mountains, you know. Supposed to be the spirit of paradise, and incidentally, a friend of Dr. Sax's.
Close-up of Count frowning like George Sanders.
This dove business has gone out of hand. Dovis? Serious? Are they? I like my religion practical. Blood is good. Blood is life. They can act up with the ashes and urns and oily incense.
Getting sore.
Bloodless theosophists of the moonlight, Excalibur dull bodids in a frantic hinge. Cockwaddlers of pones and pot host. Rattle-bead, bonehead, splentigenous bullybongs, cast-offs, flap slaves and black-bearded bungy doodle-frummers of lug and lard, fat.
Spits.
But I'll do anything the High Command wants, of course. Have we anything striking for my box design?
Gushes the night-eyed Contessa, dripping an eve from her shoulders' dust.
Oh, a fabulous green jade monstrosity of a buckle or belch or insignia of some kind, held firmly, well welded. But the main box, a gorgeous 12th century masterpiece, I believe one of Della Quercia's last.
Count Dancing, Kiss-a-Finger.
Della Quercia! Ha! Let it not be said that the Count Condu goes to his well-deserved rest in the fresh and dewy morn, after night times of not ill-considered debauch, goes to his
quiet spew,
without ostentation, without charm and dignity.
It's all a matter of taste.
And money, my dear, money in the blood bank.
Scanning from door of castle to castle grounds in rain, river in rain, in darkness, materializing to Pawtucketville, the iron pickets of Textile Institute, the boys' street and street lamp, out to fields and swamps beyond Sandbank.
The door of the great castle is closed on the night. Only supernatural eyes now can see the figure of Dr. Sachs in the rainy capes paddling across the river, reconnoitering those blown shrouds of fog, so sincere. The leaves of the shrubs and trees of the castle glint in the rain. The leaves of Pawtucketville glint in the rain at night. The iron picket fence of Textile Institute, the posts of Moody, all glint. The thickets of Merrimack pebble shores, trees and bushes in my wet and fragrant sandbanks glint in the rainy night. A maniacal laugh rises from the marshes out beyond the sandbank.
Rainy night marshes, humors rising from fen, Sachs striding with his stick, jubilantly.
Dr. Sachs comes striding with his stick, blowing joy with his nose, casting gleeful, crazy glances at frogs in mud puddles.
View of frogs in mud puddles staring huge-eyed, close up. Sachs striding up and bending down to lift something out of the earth.
Old Dr. Sachs, here he comes, rain glints on his nose as well as on the black slouch hat. He's made his investigations for tonight. Somewhere in the woods of Drakut, he lifts his door out of the earth and goes in to sleep.
Sachs has lifted a trap door. A red glow suffuses up. He drops in flare of black cloaks. Pan up to moon rain-broke winds, then back down to closed-up trapdoor.
For a moment we see red fires of forces glowing to the pine tops. A rank, rich, mud-raw wind blows across the moon. Clouds follow rain and race the fevered dame in her moony rush. She comes, meditating hysterical thoughts in the thin air. Then the trapdoor is closed on the secrets of Dr. Sachs. He rumbles below.
In the underground room, Sachs is writing on the wall in big red letters, howling.
He remotes below in his own huge fantasies about the end of the world.
Howls.
The end of the world is coming!
Sachs at his alchemic forge with huge blue glass tube, sprinkling powder, making blue poofs, and muttering to himself, occasionally holding his finger to the little gray dove on his shoulder now.
Dr. Sachs was a big fool forever, looking for the golden perfect solution. He'd been around the world searching mysterious humps of earth for a reason so fantastic, for the boiling point of evil, which in his opinion was a volcanic thing like a boil, and he believed that the boiling point of evil was rising in Lowell.
Sachs raises a pinch of powder in his palm and yells,
"O Palakonu! O Satan! O great world snake! Beware!"
A trembling old voice is yelling on the dim screen, showing castle exterior.
I am too feeble to go on.
We come into a window to see the wizard Faustus in his castle study bending over papers. He has a beak nose and movable jaw, bird, beak, and front teeth missing, and something indefinably young in bone structure but imponderably old in the eyes. His neck is scrawny and twisted, white hair, sort of Dr. Mabuse. Looks really like Bertrand Russell, no connection. The usual Faustus regalia of dusty books and skulls and dim shelves. An elderly woman sitting in a bathtub of old, rosy bathroom.
Faustus, what are you doing up so late? Stop fiddling with your desk papers and pen quills in the middle of the night. Come to bed. The mist is on the air of night lamps. A dew come to rest on your fevered brow at morning. You'll lie swaddled in sweet sleep like a lambkin. I'll hold you in my old snow-white arms, and all you do is sit there dreaming.
Wizard sneering.
Of snakes, of snakes!
Woman in tub.
Would I'd never seen your old fink face and married you. To sit around in bleak castles all my life for varmints in the dirt.
Wizard smashing down a book and jumping up.
Flap up, you old sot, and drink your stinking brandignac and cognoles. Fit me an idea for chat. Drive me not mad with your fodder doddle in a gloom. You with your pendant flesh, combs and bald spots, picking your powderies in an air, flam off, frish frows. I want peace to scularize my snakes. Let me Baroque be.
Quick view of wife of wizard, asleep. Along a dank underhall, wizard Faustus hurries, shoves aside a gnome with a passkey, hooking the passkey in his claw, and unlocks a 25-foot door and pushes in ponderously. The gnome has heavy rags wrapped around each foot and a round head. A great hall. In the center there's a round parapet to which the wizard comes and leans to look down into the pit of night. You hear a giant sad sigh and rumble somewhere.
Ah, the snake doth sigh an inch.
We see close up his mad eyes looking down from the parapet. He makes various mysterious signs with hands. The parapet shakes a little as from an earth tremor. He smiles sinister. Wizard Faustus, with loll of his sensual tongue, dislodges a piece of meat from his front teeth, deep in folded arm meditation at the head of a gutted bird on a midnight supper table with candelabras. He pulls at his high collar in the old Inquisition Spanish style to scratch a neck that you now see is horribly ropey.
He still bears the horrible marks of his strangulation and occupation by the devil in the 13th century. A high collar in the old Inquisition style he wears to partially conceal signs of ravages by Satan in the long ago, an ugly twist.
View of a file of black cardinals parading with candles in a long stone hall full of dust, and of Boaz hurrying in the opposite direction for an appointment. The black cardinals are singing a horrible low dirge. Boaz passes a chained lion at a dungeon door, circling around. A huge monster of a man with onion head and glutinous expression turns his head in a dim corner to watch Boaz pass. As Boaz hurries, we pan down to look at his long, thin black shoe on one foot, a slipper on the other. Count Condu, impeccably dressed in white tie with cape, just risen from the cough of evening, is saying in a brightly lit, elegant chamber,
Of course, that doesn't indicate that anything is going to come of these attempts. What was that?
Amadeus Baroque, with slavering glee, sitting with his legs folded underneath on an elegant lounge, with a sip drink, titter-lipped, an Oscar Wilde fin de siècle fop type, wearing brocaded white silk tunic pajamas a la Cossack, with a great blood clot in red thread over the heart, smoking from an elegant holder, says,
"But you do know, don't you?" "Oh yes, a couch mood."
Laughs tinklingly.
"Yes, my dear Count, but you do know, don't you, how preposterous it will be for any of these things to have any effect on anyone. Gad."
Second, I show you.
Positively.
Spitting.
Heretics in the church is what they are. Hound masters of the Francis Horn phantom greed. Colloquially in their shrouds. Think that they can make everybody dangle. It's this is up. These dovists betray the decadence. Any organization gets decadent.
But my dear, so Baroque. I don't mean to use my name, but so gay.
Which, after all, you measure everything by. I wanted strength in the party blood. No zounds and authors in their qualifications. Making pear pillows in the shade. Well, poop along they can. I don't see any reason why, if the Wizard of Nittlingen is willing to. Allow it, shall we say. I go along, have no preference in the matter.
He turns away, pursed over his keychain, key to his coffin, gold.
But dovists are, after all, mere lovers of no different than the Brownings or other Romes, Groaners or other gabbles. I mean...
Count Condu, standing at the stone window, staring severely into the night, now frowns as though he saw something out there. A knock on the door. A vampire butler ushers in Boaz, who has a long, narrow head and leers, and says,
"Oh, Baroque is here."
"I should say, dearie, it's my room."
"Your room? I thought it was Count Condu's. Well, may I cross the door?"
In his drink cup.
"No, flit to an eve."
"The wildest news."
"And now?"
"What are you doing with this one shoe on?"
"I lost a shoe. I went out Saturday night, but I have the wildest news."
"And now?"
Arms extended in triumphant gossip, Boaz.
"And now they have officially denounced the Dovists as underground heretics of the free movement."
Free movement? Some kind of dysentery? Would be rather a joke if the snake should spew out like a great wet explosion, watering and besplattering the earth like a piece of its own good riddance.
In the window, behind Count, suddenly, unbeknownst to all of them, Dr. Sachs appears briefly, dark, merged with the balcony, shrouded, silent, as they talk.
"Such a notion that doves are kin to snakes, my dear."
Baroque, now lying back, reading a little booklet you see titled in big letters as Dovist Poems. Pan over to Boaz, sitting stiffly, writing at the Cellini desk with a pen quill, and over to Condu, looking out the window, bemused, in a reading tone.
"On the day, clouds of seminal grey doves shall issue forth from the snake's mouth, and it shall collapse in a prophetic camp. They will rejoice and cry in the golden air, 'Twas but a husk of doves."
Spoffing and spluttering in his laugh hands.
It'll husk them for nothing. What?
Looking up,
I expect the snake will devour them that deserve it.
Baroque leaps up and ballets around.
Simply divine. It's so refreshing. We need any kind of revival, my dear. Because, you know, it's got great yoiky elements of Coney Island Christian in it.
He leans over and starts an Edith Piaf record. He looks to the window. We see a briefly fluttering bat depart outwards through the blowing curtains.
Oh well, have a good time.
Standing meditatively on the Mooney riverbank now, Sachs facing towards the castle from where he stood below the bridge scene.
Ah, will my cloak ever flare and flutter in the darkness and great wind of Satan, rearing from the earth with his ugh? Therefore meet that I have dedicated my life to the search and study of the snake. For know these mortals who here combat the hour of their sleep with traditional wings of angels, and moo their caps of flaps, these Lowell, these mortality rates, the children, meet that I protect them from horrors they cannot know. If they do know, the angular rides I'll have to take to simplify myself, end the mission of the ideal. No, I'll simply jump into the pit. They think a pit exists not?
Suddenly he sees Jacky Duluoz up on the bridge, looking down from the rail, and ducks. That is, he sees the boy's figure.
Ah.
Furling capes. On bridge, Jacky, Ma, and Aunt Blanche, the women strolling as Jacky lags back, looking down over rail. Moon high, roar of river below is softer up here.
Come on, Jacky. We're going to the grotto before we walk Aunt Blanche home.
Oh, Angie, ain't the moon grand? I'm so glad you're walking me home.
Well, I'm glad you told me my fortune tonight and played the rustle of the spring on the piano.
Sighing.
Oh, the irony of life.
Yeah, the irony of life, oui?
And they bundle arms and walk on, Jacky right behind, skipping. Facing Ma and Blanche as they stroll, moon over shoulders.
We'll go to the grotto and pray.
Wishing I'd call it Moro, Angie. If I could only find my ideal man.
What's the matter with Shammy? He's an ideal man.
But he's married.
If you love him, that ain't his fault. You gotta take the bad with the worse.
But he's only a truck driver. There's nothing really fine about him. Oh, why was I born? Do you realize how many times I thought of jumping off this bridge into those terrible waters?
Ma and Blanche and Jacky pause to look over the rail. You see the waters below them. Shoot from above.
You sound like Eddie Fabre.
Who's Eddie Fabre?
They call him Why Was I Born Eddie Fabre. That's what my old man calls him. He's always saying he can't find the ideal woman, and why was I born?
Oh, that little wrestler, you mean? Oh, Angie. No, when I see the moon so grand, all I can think of is the irony of life.
Yeah, the irony of life. Oui?
The women stroll on, arm in arm, Jacky hoppity skipping behind. They are turning into the grotto in moonlit night, the grotto of the orphanage on corner of Pawtucket and School, a high iron picket fence, shrubs, a gravel walk before 12 outdoor stations of the cross, and beautiful electrically lighted interiors behind glass in sculpture. No need for replicas, just shoot this in Lowell.
Blanche, I always did say you was a very great pianist. There. A great artist. Blanche, I understand you. When you make a mistake on the piano, I always know. It's always been so, ain't it?
Concedes the princess.
You do have a good ear, Ange.
You're damn tootin' right. Ask anybody if I ain't got a good ear. Jacky, I tell you, every time Blanche makes just a teeny mistake on the piano, I know it right away. Huh?
Jacky jumps up athletically to catch a branch of the overhead tree and to prove his world in more action. They stroll along the 12 stations, pausing occasionally to say,
"Ah, it's too beautiful."
You hear the river roaring in the background. From behind the stations of the cross, in the bushes, we see Dr. Sachs flitting with his cape from station to station, from the back of them, in terrible blasphemy prayer in the dark. With everything reversed, Sachs pauses to definitely stare at Jacky, who stands aside alone a bit, pen to where they walk on. Suddenly, a shot of Dr. Sachs hanging from the orphan home walls with his suction cups, with a keen eye on Jacky's doings below. They are at the foot of the small cliff with steps leading up to a giant cross, illuminated by floodlights over the river. No replicas, just shoot it in Lowell. Ma kneels, does the sign of the cross, and works a step up the cross mount on her knees to show Jacky.
Some people go all the way up.
They look up and camera pans up to show giant crucifix from below, like Salvador Dali's recent Crucifixion, aerial and powerful. Ma and Jacky recrossing the bridge alone, singing together, Shine On, Harvest Moon, in harmony. A man hurries past them on wood sidewalk, carrying something big under his arm.
What's he got there?
That's a watermelon. He must have bought it down at Merrimack Square. Say, look down there. That river is getting higher and higher. Don't tell me there's going to be a flood this March.
Looking from over their shoulders, we see the man with the watermelon suddenly falling. We hear the great thump of his watermelon on wood planks. They've rushed up along with another man, pedestrian. The fallen fellow is holding his stomach and staring through the railing down to the river below with shining eyes, breathing hard. The pedestrian is holding him and gravely watching, whispering,
"He's dying."
Watch Jacky from near profile, looking at fallen man, looking at where said man is directing his gaze. Sorta double take, down to the moon on shiny froth and rocks, the long eternity below the bridge.
Is he dead? I'll get an ambulance and St. Joseph's here. He may be all right.
No, that man there is finished. Look, the water on the planks.
Here comes a car.
Come on, Jacky.
Leading Jacky away from the scene, Ma pointing up to the moon over the bridge, to which we pan, soaring.
Look, the face of a skeleton in the moon.
Oh, let's get out of here.
A shot of them hurrying home past Détouche's candy store, the courtway where in the moon we see fantastic grooking clothesline white-shrouded wash-lined neighborhood hung with sheets, ookeries in the elfin Celt.
Did you ever notice the smell of flowers the day before somebody dies?
Yuck!
Covering his ears. A dull thud and a howl. It's the kitchen of the Duluoz home, and Pop Duluoz, with papers, looking harassed and worried, is saying to Ma and Jacky,
"On the bridge? Well, don't worry about it. What the heck was that?"
Everybody, Sister Nin too at table, listens.
Ooh, what was that?
It's nothing but old Plouffe striking the log with his axe. They say he has fits down in the cellar.
Suddenly, as we're looking at Jacky, the howl becomes a horrible moan.
Ooh, my goodness, what is that? That howling of old man?
Go to bed.
Shot of Jacky sleeping between his mother and Sister Nin, eyes wide open as they snore. A view of the river flooding. This is a color film, but old newsreel film clips of great floods of Mississippi and Ohio and Tennessee even can be used, as the color of a flood is gray. Ma and Jacky in a grimy crowd by an improvised fence set up in the gloom near the bridge, where the lawn goes too close to the sidewalk and rail that once were summer dalliances, which are now sprayed by the mist from the great surging brown water mass roaring right there. The air is gray, people huddles, mud underfoot, hopeless tangle of ropes, tackle, planks, sea bags, sandbags.
Wow, Jacky. Look at that big flood that's going to happen. It's bad, those big rivers, when there's a lot of snow that melts in the north in the spring.
What's going to happen?
Officials in bleak windswept raincoats, consulting ropes and box of city equipment. Kids running by.
No school! No school!
Outdoors. Night. Dr. Sachs standing on a ledge above the rampaging waters. Holding his shroud around his shoulder, firmer, he utters a low laugh.
Now a flood will bring the rest.
He rushes off in a flare of black. Same, under the Moody Street Bridge, but obviously standing on higher ground now.
The day of the great snake is come! Look!
You see, vaguely, a giant spider as big as 6 men running furiously along the fence to show its size. Outdoors, day. On same ledge as Dr. Sachs last night stands Jacky as great ice flows slip in big lumps just below in the Holocaust, or float serenely in temporary dark drown pools, or crash square and headstone against the bier of rock.
River! River! What are you trying to do?
Joyous snow school morning with crowds oohing at the flood. Jacky hurrying around alone, singing Dorsey's I Got a Note.
I got a nose. You got a nose. I got a nose. You got a nose.
Hey, Jacky!
Dicky comes running up in crowd.
Come on down the dump. There's a billion rafts bumping around. Chicken coop roofs. Let's grab one and sail around.
They run off. Standing on a height, Jacky and Dicky pointing.
Look across the river. Thousands of people watching the flood. Wow! The whole city's going.
They scramble down the steep wreckage slopes of the city dump to the edges of the water. GJ is down there trying to lasso a raft with a rope.
The ding-blasted Navy's come to town. Order up all the beers. Here comes Purple Shadow's McGatlin, the champ.
Huge mountains of ugly, sinister waters lunging along like a beast dragon, discharging a gigantic barn roof to float slowly in eddies towards the shore. Dicky and Jacky on shore.
Dicky boy knows. Dicky boy knows. Wow. Look, the strategy is to snag one of them barnyard roofs from New Hampshire and make a gigantic raft.
And wow, is he ever right? And felt we'd grown up because these places and scenes were now more than child's play. They were now abluted in pure day by the white snow mist of tragedy. Tragedy roared ahead of us. All Lowell, with bated breath, was watching from 1,000 parapets, natural and otherwise, in the Lowell Valley. Our mothers had said, "Be careful," and by noon they too.
View of housewives walking across fields.
They too huddled in housewife coats, locked the doors and suspended the ironing of the wash to come and peek at the river, even though it entailed a long walk.
Did you know the little boy Raja who is related to the O'Shanahans of the store? He drowned yesterday, in the river at Roseman. Your boy's beach, you call it.
View of floodwaters over a dam.
The river was drowning itself. It came over the falls at the White Bridge, not in its usual blue sheen and fall among white-capped snow. but sleared over in a brown and hungry slide sheen that only had to slip 2 feet and was in the bottom flood.
Dicky and Jacky, standing on the edge of watery precipice, hands out to catch coming barn roof, bending and wavering. With one small rope, they hook it moored at the end of an old wrecked car bumper, then put over a board gangplank with rocks on the shore side. They jump on board and dance up and down around on chicken feathers. Scene of rope breaking. Dicky jumping onshore, turning to yell at Jacky.
Hey, Jack! The rope broke! Come on back!
Jacky hands a back clasp, surveying the river, the sky above from further edge of raft. He looks up closely. In vast white mass radiant sky, a gray dove flapping along with yaks of pip-squeak joy. Another shot of dove descending quickly. A cape of ink furls upon the waters where Dr. Sachs is rowing his rubber boat. In the woods part of tributary flooded streams, he grabs the dove and removes a packet from its leg.
O great snake of the world, O Palakonu, beware!
Close-up of Jacky on edge of floating raft.
Jack! Jack! Get off the raft! The rope's cut off! You're floating away!
Jacky turns, runs to shore edge. The raft is moving off. He pauses, glooping like athlete in standing broad jump, trembles and jumps, landing on feet, teetering. View of humping river tossing rafts in the middle stream.
It could have been my ship.
Dr. Sachs laughing as he pulls his little rubber thing boat in, folds it up, puts in slouch hat, puts dove inside pocket, and strides off.
I am ready, O wizard. I am ready.
Quiet church music. Dim Catholic church basement with novenas going on, bowed heads. Jacky comes out of center aisle, dips finger in front, does sign of the cross, kneels, goes out wearing rain gear. Sound of rain outside. Jacky standing alongside Pa, looking at flooded houses and crowd.
Well, wouldn't that be terrible? To have water in your bedroom as high as the pictures on your wall.
Cops and an old woman on a rowboat coming from inundated house porch with furniture, old woman yelling.
Bums and kits caboodles they are, the slimes of Ara, to make trousers of themselves in the general pants-bottoms Gomorrah of their filthy hovel house. It's the Lord that brought the flood to wash the wretches out like cockroaches. Bottles in their bedspreads, beans in their bedbugs, batty I'd as soon sweep them out with my broom.
A ripple of laughter rises from the floodside crowd. A view of Jacky leaning against a tree, a leaf of grass in his mouth, sitting, watching the river in flood, from somewhere near the Moody Street Bridge, with meditative music. A lonely telephone pole standing 8 feet deep in rain, but the watermark plainly a foot down. Shot of newspaper headline in the Lowell Sun saying,
Crest passed through, read all about it.
The river starts going down, but the damage has been done.
Night. In quiet Phoebe Avenue dirt road, Jacky walks hands or pockets, alone, off into sand and up the sandbank. He stops to draw a circle in the sand. On top of sandbank, he gazes on dim lights of town, on river, a faint hulk of Snake Hill, like a meditative king. Suddenly he turns. Tall, shadowy Dr. Sachs is standing there with shroud to mouth and eyes a-piercing. Jacky completely at ease.
What do you want, Dr. Sachs?
Sachs, high and dark in the bushes of the night, long green face beneath the shroud slouch down hat.
Staring with mute sun eyes were you at the drop of day in your billy goat town. Think old men ain't traveled and seen other shepherds and other gray coat pies in the meadow by the wall? You didn't read a book today, did you, about the power of drawing a circle in the earth at night? You just stood here at nightfall, Saturday night, the eve of Easter, with your mouth hanging open and fisting your entrail piece.
Not all the time.
Sax rubs a cane against his jowl, then turns and smirks away in the palm of his black glove.
Ah, now you're protesting. Look, I know you also saw the little children of that farmer family running up and down the log at the river's flooded edge, and complimented yourself for the keenness of your eyes, and thought of mowing them down with your distance scythe, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Sax pulls out a mask of W.C. Fields and puts it over his face.
That's better. Call your home. We're going through these bushes and down to Phoebe Avenue.
We've panned and followed him as he starts off tragically, leading Jacky downhill in dark bushes. But suddenly we hear a great roaring shh, and the darkness flares to dark gold. Sax and the boy look up, shielding their eyes. A great dark eagle of the night swoops low to salute them with Uncle Sam fiercey eyes, huge, about like an airplane. His eyes are like burning sandstorms of gold. His sides are solid, shiny, silver bars luminescent. His claws are of water, dripping, and on his rear there are blue shadows and sort of dark guards riding along. As this apparition passes over and darkness returns, pan to...
That was Tantalus Bird, flew in from the higher-than-Andean heights of the Tierra del Fuegan princess. She sent a packet of herbs in her horny claw leg. I unwrapped it, mixed it with the powder brought by the dove from Bengali. It has brought a bluish tinge to the state of my current powder.
Clutching Sax's robes at rear.
What are all these things in powders, sir?
Imitating a snippy woman.
In my amniosis shack, madame.
And he chews viciously at a cud of tobacco and returns the chaw cake to his inner black pockets.
I realized that we were both crazy and had lost all contact with irresponsibility.
Jacky follows Sax as they pitch down through the soft sand of the bank and come stomping softly in the thinner sand at the edge of the halo lamp where the basketball games were. Dr. Sax hands out his arms from which a great drape falls, shrouding Jacky to his feet. They stand there melted into a black statue of ecstasy.
Hup! No natives in the road? Forget about them, didn't ye? No netups, poor little boys. No little frantic druids piggly-wiggling where the brown supper lights stretch on sidewalk?
No, sir.
Nevertheless, one of the code laws of the dark is, never let yourself be seen by shroud or self. Sands have messengers in that starlight ink.
And off they glide, shroud and soft, Jacky right beside him, bent, head down, zooming to the next shadow. They've hit the darkness of the yard of the last house, Phoebe Avenue, are crouching by a fence. Sepulchral whisper.
We're paying a call on Jean Plouffe.
They leap over fence, stalk, putting hand on Jacky's shoulder.
No need to worry. Mix your mud with elephant flowers, adamantine boy. The hook and curl and the crook of eternity is a living thing. Craw-faced travelers have been this way. Came waiting grayly and meekly at doors to the committee room and consulting booth at the castle. They were all turned away.
When are you gonna go down there?
Now, tonight. You might as well be with me tonight as with anyone anywhere, for your own safety.
A fiery eye, floating by itself like a little white marble in the dark, suddenly contemplates them from the maw of Dicky Hampshire's barn. Dr. Sax brushes it aside with his cane. He rushes on low, Jacky right behind. Now it's a bat dropping little red fireballs that Sax blows away with his breath, laughing like a young girl. As though pleased with the recollection of his she castle, friends and enemies, Sax says in a burbling, aristocratic voice,
"Our good friend Condu."
Jacky is paused and looking up at the lighted bedroom window of Dicky, Hampshire.
Punk!
Who's that?
Dicky Hampshire drawing cartoons in his room. He'll never swap another shadow with me.
Sounds of Saturday night radios, occasional auto, distant laughs, voices. Jacky gliding right behind Sax, slanted and leering, tripping over a rock garden.
Gliding together in the dark shadows of the night, Dr. Sax and I knew everything about Lowell.
Sax flattens into the shadow of a tree like a passing thing. Jacky brings up the rear. Shh. They vault a fence in one movement.
Now we'll look into Jean Ploufe's window.
Sax at a lighted window.
That's not it. The other one.
Jacky fumbles and turns around in circles, and Sax bumps into him coming around the other way, and the force of Sax's bump carries them in one shroud to the window, where they stand, chins on the windowsill, looking in under a foot of open shades. We see an interior bedroom, Jean Plouffe reading Shadow magazine, in bed, a quilt, pillows, the lamp. Only his wrists stick out of the quilt holding the magazine, his prognathic jaw stuck up, his hawk nose coming down, almost suffocating his ecstatic mouth with its thin round of breath whistling through it, his eyes wide with reading. Dr. Sax at the windowsill, quietly.
How eagerly the youth doth pursue his legends with a hungry eye. Would now the Korans of the grown-up gulpitude make keen misery of that hitch. A hitch will disgust your mind in time. A hitch is called time in jail. You'll come to rages you'd never dreamed.
Me? Why?
You'll come to when you lean your face over, the nose will fall with it. That is known as death. You'll come to angular rages and lonely romages among beast of day and hot, glary circumstances made grit by the hour of the clock. That is known as civilization. You roll your feet together in the tense befuddles of 10,000 evenings in company in the parlor, in the pad. That is known as socializing. You grow numb all over from inner paralytic thoughts and bad chairs. That is known as solitude. You'll inch along the ground on the day of your death and be pursued by the editorial cartoon Russian bear with a knife, and in his bear hug he will poignard you in the ready blood back to gleam in the pale Siberian sun. That is known as nightmares. You look at a wall of blank flesh and fritter to explain yourself. That's known as love. The flesh of your head will recede from the bone, leaving the bulldog determination pointing through the peaked jaw, tremulo jaw bone point. In other words, you'll slobber over your morning egg cup. That is known as old age, for which they have benefits.
As they move along,
by and by you'll rise to the sun and propel your mean bones hard and sure to huge labors and great steaming dinners, and spit your pits out, aching love-lost nights and cobweb moons, the mist of tired dust at evening, the corn, the silk, the moon, the rail. That is known as maturity. But you'll never be as happy as you are now in your quiltish, innocent, book-devouring boyhood immortal night.
Dr. Sax and Jacky paused in the park, in the shadowy area.
We'll sneak through this way and go see the Brights of Saturday night on the corner, where now your mother's been shopping late. Has bought extra subsidiary pork chops to go with the roast beef, the baked beans with molasses, the boiled ham, the French bread, the Easter weekend walnut bowl and boiled eggs, a Saturday morning sausage and eggs and crepes with Vermont maple syrup, the big boiled stew of Saturday noon lunch, the beans and ham of Saturday eve.
Looking away eerily.
Fear not the green loss. Every twig in your cerebellar tree is aching to return to you now. By same token, no gain by use of gain. Habit gain, habit loss. All and every moment is yearning to stay grown to you, even as the parade passes it. You'll take up your place in the hierarchical racks of vegetabilized heaven with a garland of carrots in your hair, and still you won't know you ever suffered such sweet wishes. In your death, you'll know the death part of your life and regain all that green and browns.
Sax and Jacky are peeking at brightly lighted corner of Gershom and Moody from a dark alley, wash-lined.
Thus did Dr. Sax give me counsel as we furled on into the darkness, towards lights. Ah, there's my mother now. She's been out shopping.
We see Ma Duluoz hurrying on sidewalk with big festive packages. Close-up of Ma on sidewalk.
She hurries on solid peasant-free, no wavering like the mothers of Mexico hurrying barefoot in the rain with little babies bundled in little balls in their shawls. I feel like running and throwing my arms around her, but...
Close-up of Jacky under Dr. Sax's armpit shrouds.
In the shroud of Sax I am frozen into objective humility and just stand there looking at my mother. Just barely a small, shadowish, but more gleeful cackle escapes me.
Another close-up of Ma Duluoz walking in the street, now with huge guardian angel with wings at her heels. Wings drip flame. Flame rolls on sidewalk.
In the street, walking beside her, I see her guardian angel. It is a huge angel, 7 feet tall, very solemn, slightly hurt, with lowered mouth, but with great shining wings that drop rich showers of cool flame, rolling and whirling in the Gershom cobbles. My mother walks right along. Any old guardian angel will do, and she will bless them when her time comes. Holy Mother, blessed on high.
Close-up of face of Sax in dark alley, pushing his hat back just a little bit.
'Tis an odd old saying, my boy. In my travels from one jungle to another, in the fetid marshes of the south, in my treks in the plateaus, the gold north, I've had enough occasion to recognize this truth. Women own the earth. Women own heaven, too. It's a tyranny without words and without swords.
T. Nin Duluoz, running down the same street, her cries ringing with the cries of 100 other daughters in the air, girls yelling all over.
Hey, Ma, wait for me.
She catches up and walks on with Ma, taking a burden bag.
I bought some beautiful peas, look.
Oh, I saw the most beautiful little dress today, Ma. It had beautiful golden balls on one shoulder.
Yeah, golden balls and...
Panoramic enough view of a woman above on a porch coming out to shake her mop, second-story porch of a tenement, and whacking mop on rail.
Ayou, Madame Duluoz! Angie! You bought your groceries late! Yeah!
Yelling up.
Yeah, Mrs. Bissonette. Just in time.
Look, your husband in the door of the bowling alley there!
All 3 women look to left. Doorway of the bowling alley on same street, Pa Duluoz and another guy called Zag, town drunk.
I know, Zag. I know you bowled a 143.
Woo! Woo!
Like Hugh Herbert, drunk.
I seen it in every strike you threw down the gutter. I seen it on that Japanese score sheet you wrote.
Cigar.
Zag, it's all right. I won't hold it against you.
Men playing pool. Sound of bowling alley.
Can't hear yourself think that bowling alley down there.
Bends to a shot. Shot of interior of Détouche's candy store. 6 guys massed at the pinball machine, tilting it by a rack of pulp magazines. Others scanning through the magazines. Older boys with Lousy behind them, in corner, smoking a butt. A little boy in a brightly lit butcher shop sitting on a keg eating a candy bar. Pan over to the butcher at the meat hawk, whacking with big knife axe. Hanging sausages overhead, pork. With great benign and rosy face.
Yes, this is Chevalier. It's a good piece of beef.
In another dark alley, near all this, Sax is saying to Jacky,
"All your America is like a dense Balzacian hive in a jewel point."
And suddenly, right there, for no forewarned reason, Sax rears up and seems to explode or up-burp like a bull about to throw 5 gallons of blood. Erupting hugely, he comes again from around the other side, sweeping Jacky off his feet with fear. Jacky jumps 2 feet, dodging the scythe of his laugh. Dr. Sax lowers his gigantic leer to Jacky as he laughs again.
This is the night of the destruction of the snake, the wizard of evil with his Nitlingen pain gnomes, the faulty decadent dovists and their pillows and Book of the Dead, the blood-sucking unagrarian flap wavers and aristocrats, black snakes, blind bats, cockroaches, and blue worms of the snail. Tonight the erupting head will sweep you with it.
Indian file, they stalk to go peek at those tenement doorsteps where stands GJ, Scotty sits whittling, and Lousy is brooding in the corner.
Well, I wonder where Jacky is tonight.
Don't know, GJ. He may be over to Dicky Hampshire's or down in the bowling alley spotting.
Look at old Lousy. Whenever I see old Lousy thinking, I know I'll go to heaven. He's an angel. Gold darn Lousy.
To Sax.
Aw, gee.
Sax and Jacky suddenly fly into the upper dark in the first of the necessary Batman shots. Dr. Sax, elongated, is flying across the moon like a demented cloud, fiendish, teeth shining. Jacky flies after in a minor flare of ink. They land down in the woods of Dracid in front of Sax's trapdoor.
Into that innocent land go as you are now, naked when you go into the destruction of world snakes. Leery head may moan. Go ahead and do your groan. Listen to your own self. It ain't got nothing to do with what's around you. It's what you do inside at the controls of the locomotive crash through life.
Dr. Sax, I don't understand what you're saying. You're mad, and I'm mad.
This is the moan victory.
He opens trapdoor, red glow.
Go down.
Jacky jumping down from ladder inside firelight. Sax right behind, rushing to his forge and starting to make it clang. Yelling,
"Anoint thee, son, we're going into Homeric battles of the morn. Over the dew tops of every one of your favorite pines of Dracut slants the far red sun that's just now rising from a bed of night, blue to a day of bluebells in the crime. Crash in southern latitude climbs, and the bark will plow the hoary antique sea with a vast funebrial consonant splash of bow foams. You're in no means squabble with the butcher's devil."
Behind Sax on a perch.
All right, you single. All right, you single. All right.
A sudden blue light suffuses the room cave.
The blue era.
Dashing to his kiln.
Roll up your sleeves. Help me with these jars.
Screaming and jumping up and down as hard as he can, Sax.
Introversions, torturous introversions of my mind.
Jacky hiding in the corner, covering mouth and nose with fear. Great close-up face of Sax leering right over Jacky, pulling his cheeks apart to make worse faces and scare Jacky. Green face, red eyes, blue teeth.
Ah! Dr. Sax, you scare me.
Okay.
He rears back to normal, stands bereave a moment as the blue light in the room vibrates, and goes back to his forge, where bones rattle from the arrangement he has with the pull. He reverently kneels before a little glass vacuum ball.
When I break this bubble ball and these powders come into contact with the gassy breath of the snake at the parapet of the pit, all my 20 years of alchemy and world travel, everything I had to do with around-the-world doves, and all the areas of the world I had to patrol for sight of snakes' suspicious presence, all my manifold duties will have melted into one white glow.
Jacky under his shroudy shoulder, watching.
Will everything stay blue till we get to that snake white?
No. Even from inside the vacuum glass, my potent powder will change the atmosphere several times this night as we jostle to our work.
He places the glass ball in his dark heart's pocket. A great clanging noise in the air, Sax looking up with mouth wide open and listen, Jacky behind him.
That's the eagles, Lord and Master, coming to the fray.
What? Who?
Terrified.
They say there's a mighty force no one of us knows about, and so the eagles and birds make a great to-do and noise, and especially tonight when the invisible power of the universe is supposed to be nigh. We don't know any more than the sun what the snake will do, and can't know what the golden being of immortality can do, or will do, or what, or where. Huge battalions of loud snake-decorated birds it was you just heard above, rattling their sabers above the lull night, heading for the duel at the castle.
Duel?
No time to wait, son. Figs and Caesar don't mix. Run to the fore with me. Come and see the moo-mouth maw of death. Come, get your butt through the western gate of wrath. The eyes of those who have died are watching in the night.
Sax and Jacky are flying in a sad slant whirl right over the fields. They're bawling across the air, talking, with head leaning on a pillow of air, almost dreamily.
What eyes?
The eyes of eternity, son. Look.
Night sky all filled with drooping, drearing, pale eyes flying along with them in armies like, as it says in the book, 1,000 angels in small soul form, in their heavy, tearful destination, ever farward round the earth in search of souls that haven't yet arrived. By a rock on the river, Sax is sitting, suddenly sad, Jacky beside him, as they face the dim glimmer of the castle over yonder.
No, son, no, me boy. Sometimes old age comes to peter me out. This woe and wave makes me want to sit down on rock and cry. Oh, waves of the river, cry.
The night, which was entirely blue color, slowly starts turning red. Sort of reddish suede, sky, ground, river, characters, all unnoticing.
No, 'tis and will be true. I'll go through the motions. I've waited 20 years for this night, and now I don't want it. Somehow it seems the evil thing should take a care itself, or be rectified in organic tree of things.
Everything turned red.
But these deliberations avail not my old sprout tomboy bullknock Sax. Listen to me, Jacky kid, boy that comes with me. Don't worry, it's just my powders. The doubts and tears are roused up by the waves wherein I know the rose is flowing, and it's more natural I lay me down and make peace with bleak embattled eternity, in my rar bed of dollars. Yet I go and make my mention. I go and seek my tremble. Come on.
He rises, removes rubber thing from black hat, and blows up a boat. Beaching quickly at the castle lawn edge, Sax and Jacky race off between narrow stone walls.
The pit! The pit! What do you mean, the pit?
They run through bush gardens, rills, mud hamps, over rocks, and suddenly see a huge spider, which is, however, 4 men tied to each other at the back and running in the same directions, a gigantic beast running like mad across the moonlit lawn.
There's one of the satanic spiders that came with the flood. You ain't seen nothing till you seen the Chimu centipedes in the dungeons of Green Bile where they threw a couple of dovists last week.
They stand back. The runner waggles out of sight. In another spot, under a tree, a sudden yuck. Sax looks up, waves away with clawy hands, guides Jacky further to the wall of the castle where, boom, a giant scorpion is lying scat on the wall, big and black-red, full 6 feet long, so they have to go around. Looking over his shoulder in gay explanation like a young secretary.
Came with a flood!
Jacky is looking at the moon, and it's blood red.
Onward! They
barge through a pile of moss and come out on the other side, covered with bits of red grass, go down a long hall, come to a sudden file of gnomes with bandaged heads and feet who are pointing spears alternately at them and then at themselves in a solemn little ceremony. Dr. Sax emits a wild ha-ha! Like a jolly principal of a boarding school and dashes along wall, capes a-flying as they melt back in fear. Sax is struggling with a moss-covered trap door overhead. It's dripping wet. He points at a little window grate nearby.
Look, now you know why it was known as Snake Hill.
We view over to see a maggoty heap of slithering little garter snakes tumbling in a shining red mass in the red dark.
The snakes have come to see the king of snakes.
Sax pushes up the trap door. It drops mud and dust. They climb up into intense darkness. In dimness, Sax and Jacky stand.
Here the vampires have their tombs. There's your Count Condu, where I'm knocking on this wall, his bloody sleeping box. Now it's night. He must be off shenaniganizing with his little beastly wing.
Moving along past alleyway openings.
There's your dungeons down there, and entrances to the mine. The wizard made the gnomes dig for years. They succeeded and dug the snake out 100 years before its time.
The ground shudders.
There's your heaving Satan now. A procession of celebrands in black, son. Move aside.
He points. Down a long shaft alley, we see a parade of black shrouds with candles. Jacky's hurried to a castle window, hands at the bars. He's looking at the red blood Merrimack flowing around in brown-red shores. But even as we're looking with him, everything starts to turn white. The moon first, then the river looks like a bed of milk and lilies. Everything is white. He turns and there's Dr. Sax in white capes, looking like an angel saint. A giant white door is opened, and a group of men are standing around the rail of a parapet in a gigantic hall with cave-like walls that have tiers with further men standing in ceremonial attention. The ceiling you can't see.
Welcome!
Amid ripples of comment. Everything is white. Jacky, too. The black cardinals are now white. Baroque is there. Boaz. White bats flying. White spider webs. And the wizard is white. We camera in.
The wizard.
The wizard's eyes are blank and have snowstorms in them. His neck is twisted and strung and streaked with horror. Black, brown stains, pieces of tortured dead flesh, ropey, awful.
Those marks on his neck, boy, are where the devil tried to expose him first. A wretched ningling underling from Nittlinging.
Flaxy sacks with his big knacks.
Wizard leans on the rail of the parapet, lounging.
So, they finally are going to dispose of your carcass anyway. Got you trapped this time.
There are more ways out of this maze than you realize.
Everything's milk under the bridge this night. Bring your boy to see the plaything.
As Jacky stands rooted, Sax stalks up and down in front of Wizard in temporary deep thought.
Well, why do you withhold from yourself the great joy of finally seeing the snake of the world, your lifelong enemy?
The things just struck me. Silly.
The thing's bigger than you loom, silly Christian. Come and look.
Sax takes Jacky by the hand to lead him to the parapet and look down. Amid hubbubs of the crowd, mild chuckling whispers, nobody's really sinister or stiff. We pan the crowd of courtiers and visiting princes and kings of world evil from every corner of the crawling globe, some of them heaving thin handkerchiefs to their mouths politely. We see gnomes beyond and up, ranged in the galleries, sort of. The air is multiform and crazy with bats, moths, eyes, rattling birds, hubbubs, the cardinals with their candles. We pan back to the wizard, hand on parapet, as the whole place shakes.
In another few minutes, possibly 30, possibly 1, the snake will reach the redoubt our gnomes have built for it in their now ended labors in my service.
Hailing to above.
Well done! Well cherished! Hail to the gnomes! Singers of the devil's spade!
A great clatter of wooden spades above. The earth now shakes, real bad, almost knocking the wizard over.
Old Nicobus wants to maw up his earth too fast.
Coming up, hand on parapet.
And you'll ride his back?
Grinning. In oratorical posture, howling.
I'll lead him through all the lands of the world, 100 feet ahead, bearing my burden torch till we reach the alkalis of Hebron, and you'll never make a move to stitch my path.
Snakes dripping off walls, plopping, spiders running as the wizard goes on with his wild, mad speech, which echoes.
It was a foreordained path, and one that you, particularly among the unselected, unchosen kind, but willing to put on the wrong regalia and think you are, don't know your own madness. Why you breathe when the sun comes up? Why you breathe in the morning? Ootsie poo! I'd rather lead my candle Satan's soul with my promised snake dragon in the earth in a path of slime, fires, and destruction behind me.
Wizard's speech still going on. We see shaking walls, loosening scales of mud falling, cracks, shakings, panning down to some spectators now beginning to cringe and move off in terror with their candles, gnomes with shovels, clamor rising.
Yeah, be me, kaha! Small, white, old, the image of a soul, leading my candlelight brigades, my wild and massive cardinals that you see here raving like hawks along a line wall, hungry to eat the stones of victory with bare sand to wedge and wash it down. Pilgrimages of the snake.
We see most of the cardinals, so-called, haven't budged, though their candles are blowing out in a rising wind.
We will darken the very sun in our march, Hamlets will be gobbled up entire, my boy. Cities of skyscrapers will feel the weight of this scale. Won't sit to weigh, or not for long. And scales and justice have nothing to do with a serpent's sides, whether she holds arms or bombs in her milky embowered palm.
A real serious flipping rain of mud clods now, falling right on the wizard, and Sax and Jacky, and those at the parapet as the earth shakes, and a strange, fast sigh rises from the pit.
Oh, you seminal dovest, half of whom arrested now rot below. I see them floating in the lake of milky slime. Fire shall eat your lowels. The snake'll make the subways his feeding place. With one coy flick, he'll snap up whole directories and lists of the census. Communists and fascists will be mashed down by the rivers of his drink. The new left and the old right will form a single silent tapeworm in his indestructible tube.
We see an outdoor view of the castle in the night. Lights are brighter. Things seem to be flying out of it and around it. It's swaying a little. Wizard's voice still heard.
No avail your ordinary fire departments and dull departments. The earth's return to fire. The western wrath is done.
A rumble and a piece of castle tower falls off in moonlight. At the parapet, everybody's hanging on. There's a rumble, an earthquake, a great wind is blowing up from the pit in an updraft, so that all their hair stand wild and flame-like. There's a wild, loud honk of the snake as Dr. Sax is seen swaying, stumbling, yet removing his bubble ball of powders and staggering to the parapet and sort of up tilts, but he jumps up on the rampart and holds out his powders.
And now you will know that the great snake of the world lies coiled beneath this castle and beneath Snake Hill, site of my birth. 100 miles long, an enormous convolution reaching down into the very bowels and grave of the earth. And for all the ages of man has been inch an hour, up to the sun, the unspeakable central dark depths to which originally he'd been hurled for disobedience to the Creator.
Struggling with the wizard on the rampart.
Yeah, mad, shriveled wizard Faustus comes back from detestable grave to gather vampires, murderers, cretins, leers at the glad heart of others, your gnomes and spiders, and committee of the black mass ecclesiasts and generals were wolves of the soul aspiring to destroy mankind again with evil, final evil. Yeah, fiend of orgiastic fires.
Pushing wizard to ground. On ground, crying up.
Oh, Dr. Sax, poor, innocent, sad, go crawling around. Don't you with your little ideas or fighting against evil. Ha 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 ha!
Squeezing his hand around vacuum ball.
Oh, wizard, 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 maybe so, but mindful I am of the sleep of little infants in their fleecy beds, and of their lammy thoughts, something so sweet, so downy.
Uproars, mad, scraggly-haired women, falling boulders, the cry is heard.
It's dawn! Dawn has come!
And we see bats at a grate, panned down. There stand Count Condu and Contessa Vamp, cringing and crouching back in the uproar.
My coffin. There's my coffin.
A big explosion of blue mist pops out of Sax's hand at the parapet as he's yelling.
God offers man in the palm of his hand, dove-like seminal love, embowered.
Out of the pit boils a green, raging fluid, and everybody is sort of blown up out of sight.
And so the castle of the world was snaked.
All sorts of Castle and Dr. Sax characters running in fields. Jacky runs, falls, sits, turns, watches far-off castle collapsing. Dawn. Closer, out of the collapsing castle, comes the great mountainous snakehead, slowly seeping from the earth like a gigantic worm coming out of an apple, with great licking green tongue spitting fires like fires of refineries, slowly, hugely piling out with the castle spilling off its serpent scales, and with tiny people flying in the air, and bats encircling eagles, and noise and confusion, dust, things falling. We see Dr. Sachs coming up beside Jacky, and removing his slouch hat and cape, drops them on the ground. Just stands there, hands in pockets, just old, beat-up trousers and a white shirt and suspenders, regular brown shoes, regular socks, his hair over his eyes down to his hawk nose, and he looks like Will Rogers or Gary Cooper, scratching his head.
Didn't work. Funny thing is, I never knew that I'd meet Judgment Day in my regular clothes without having to go around in the middle of the night with that silly cape and that silly shroudy hat. Just look at that.
A louder uproar, a view of the snake risen higher and starting to curl around the ruins and still pulling out. Sachs now sitting with Jacky in grass.
The powders didn't work. Nothing works in the end. There's just absolutely nothing. Nobody cares what happens to you. The universe doesn't care what happens to mankind. The evil of the devil rules. Well, let it go at that. There's nothing we can do about it.
Jacky kneeling behind Sachs and holding him.
Why can't we have another? Why can't we have some more? Why do we have to go through all this?
Fartherly, ordinary, quiet.
Well, I know, but...
A sound like of girls of eternity screaming on roller coasters. Looking over the river, they hear the hysterical symphony honks of the snake as into the beautiful, glary pale of giant morning mass clouds rises the mighty venom-headed serpent of eternity, clouds of darkness forming at his slowly emerging base, slow heaps of castle flowing down his mountain head's sides. But the whole scene suddenly darkens dramatically. Jacky and Sachs looking up in sky, we camera up and follow up and see something like a massy thunderhead up there. Make the thunderhead move, change, suddenly, vaguely, become a huge hooded bird with solemn beak, and it is moving with a mighty, slow motion. It materializes closer, and we see banners streaming from its feathers. It is surrounded by a great horde of doves. It is like one vast assembled flight which is turning down, hood-eyed and frowning. Jacky getting up to run.
What's that?
Hold it. Oh, look at that wing spread of 3 to 4 miles. It's surrounded by my doves. My doves! My young and silly doves! Bird of paradise coming to save mankind.
A view of the great world snake, twisting as if to see what haps, accomplishing a green tongue licking at the sky with a sigh we hear across the field. Down comes the bird, slowly, wings at ease, descending with majesty and unbelievable with slow, immense ringlets of golden broadsides. We even see smaller birds riding on its shoulders, hooded and frowning. Very dark, view of the great world snake coiling out around and raising head, and great bird coming down and in slow motion closes its open beak over snake neck and lifts it up with a crack that sounds like distant thunder as all the snake is snapped and drawn, feebly struggling, splashing sweat, hooked and curled, and being taken away. Bird skyward with its ugly burden, a roly-poly mass of snake, all curlicue, thrashing up, 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 into a bedazzling blue hole of heaven in the clouds, as we hear squawking and yakking of birds, eagles, feather-brained sparrows, doves, and a golden bell is ringing Easter morning, ding-dong. We pan over daisies and fields to churches, belfries, roofs. The faces of Jacky and Dr. Sachs smiling up to the sky, hands to eyes. Bird and snake disappearing out of sight, becoming specks and dots, disappearing altogether. Looking up, squinting and amazed.
I'll be ding-blasted. The universe disposes of its own evil.
That bloody worm was ousted from his hole. The neck of the world was free.
View of Jacky dancing and skipping over Moody Street Bridge. In bright sunlight of Easter morning, people in best clothes, Jacky running and skipping down along the grotto stations of the cross, to foot of crucifix on cliff, where two women are praying and climbing on their knees. Jacky, with a rose in his hair, saying to women,
"Boy, did you see that giant bird catch that snake? Woo!"
View of women looking back down to Jacky, with cross way above them, and one woman turning to other to do circle of loony finger at ear, and moving up another step. Church bells, and pan over to view of Merrimack River and its frothy rocks in morning sun.
I have seen Dr. Sachs several times since at dusk in autumn, when the kids jump up and down and scream. He only deals in glee now.